phases. The first one is information gathering, and we are now into part of scanning. That too, we have analyzed some of the protocols using Wireshark, ARP, and IP. And one more important protocol we'll discuss, and then we'll quickly move on to that Nmap tool, where we can also use the different scanning techniques. Because the main goal of the scanning technique is to know what are the systems that are powered on, and what kind of services that are being run on the system, and according to the, what are the ports that are open, and with the with using the open ports, what kind of services that are running on that particular system. And to assess the operating system, accordingly we can decide what kind of vulnerabilities that may exist in the system and what kind of exploitation that can be happen. So this is how we need to focus on. So in that, the TCP protocol, which is at the transport layer protocol, or the layer 4 protocol in terms of TCP IP, will also play an important role. Because now let's say if we want to scan a particular system, whether it is up or not, or if you want to scan a network, then using a normal ICMP scan, which you have seen in the previous session, can also be helpful, right? So using a normal ping command, we can able to know whether that particular system is up or not. But what happens in most of the cases, as we discussed, let's say if there is any secure device, or if there is any firewall, any kind of device that is placed in between, then there may be chances that the ICMP or the ping is blocked. But even though these kind of blockings are there, then there are certain kind of things which are need to be opened. Now let's say in terms of, if you open a web application, then this application has to run any of the transport layer protocol. So in this case, in this scenario, we'll try to see how this TCP or the kind of transport layer protocols are used to scan a particular system, to assess whether it is up or not, or what kind of services that are being run on that particular system. So before that, we'll try to understand a small thing about the transmission control protocol. Because as part of TCP/IP protocol suite, TCP and IP are the most important protocols which make the part of this suite. So we'll go for this TCP introduction once, then accordingly we'll discuss the Nmap or the scanning techniques that are used on top of this TCP to actually assess the kind of information or the systems. Okay, so as we have seen, TCP is a transport layer protocol, and when we talk about the TCP, the main important part of TCP, we say is it's a connection oriented protocol. Because why we are actually saying it as connection oriented is, whenever there is an communication between two end-to-end systems, the communication that is happening between the two systems has to be assured that it is sent and it is received at the destination. So to ensure this sort of communication, the TCP uses a methodology called three-way handshake. So we'll discuss what is three-way handshake. So based on this three-way handshake methodology, the protocol will actually try to assess or try to make that the communication or the kind of traffic that is flowing from one end to other end is actually reaching the destination. So if there is any dropping or some kind of thing, then we'll get an acknowledgement saying that the respective packets or the respective communication is not yet reached the destination. And also the other important part is it's the TCP is full duplex communication. So it supports both, transmission and receiving at the same time. And when we talk about the key characteristics, that is what we have discussed. It is reliable connection setup, and also even the closing session will also be reliable. Because while closing, it uses for packet transmission to get the confirmation from both the parties before closing the connection. And also we have packet sequencing facilities, and also we have error checking and acknowledgements. If there is any drop in the packets, then there is a proper acknowledgement whether the destination has got the respective traffic or not. And in case of any kind of droppage, there is a mechanism for retransmission of lost segments. And also there is an integrity checking in the segments also, whether all the segments have reached the destination point or not. And also there is a mechanism to decide the window size with respect to flow control, how many, what is the size that has to be transmitted over the communication path, and also the multiplexing connections. Multiplexing connections in the sense, let's say on a particular system, let's say I'm using a system. On this particular system, I'm opening a lot of connections. Let's say on a single browser, I may be opening a 10 particular tabs to open 10 different applications or 10 different websites. I may be opening some other Skype connection or some video chatting application. So at a time, I can open all these connections, but at the same time, the system has this capacity or the understanding that what communication is actually talking to which destination, or what is the kind of connection that is happening between the application, because my system is one, but the communication channels that I have opened are many. So this kind of multiplexing and demultiplexing with respect to the connections at the same time is possible with respect to the TCP. Why? Because we use a combination of both. We generally call it as a socket in terms of TCP, because whenever we are using the communication path with respect to layer 3, we have the communication address of IP address. So by this IP address, I can pinpoint a particular system. But with respect to the kind of applications that are opened on a particular system, to define that, I need this transport layer protocol also along with the IP address, which is called socket. The combination of both IP as well as the port on which I'm initiating the service. So this socket will be used to actually differentiate or to understand the connections that are established and the connections that are initiated and the connections that are closed on a particular system. So generally, whenever we talk about a port number is nothing but it's a logical connection that is binded to a specific service or a specific application. Now, let's say if I talk about a HTTP service, then the port number that is associated with this HTTP service is port number 80. Now, if I talk about FTP service, then FTP has two ports, 20 and 21. One is for data initiation, one is for the kind of commands that are given. And if we talk about Telnet, it is 23. If I talk about DNS, if it is 53. If we talk about SMTP, it is 25. So there are again different type of services uses these transport layer protocols. That protocol or that port number which is binded to that particular service to denote that service is nothing but a port number. Okay, so generally these port numbers are ranged between 0 to 60. Generally, there are 65,536 actually. So they are the range is from 0 to 65,535. Usually the port numbers from 0 to 1023 are reserved, and from 1024 to 49 151 are registered port numbers, and rest of things can be used by any client as a dynamic ports to initiate the connection. So this is how the TCP header will be look like. We can have the source port number and what is the destination port number and what is the kind of sequence number that can, because this sequence number is very much important, because whenever we start the communication, we use this sequence number to actually denote what kind of communication. And this sequence number will be used to know the initial packet that has been raised and to also understand the acknowledgement received from the destination. And the second thing is the acknowledgement number. Usually this acknowledgement number will be an increment to the sequence number which is there in the previous packet. And the other thing we have is the header length, and we have some 6 bits of reserved. And the other part are the 6 flags which are very much important whenever we talk about this TCP communication. Using this is 6 flags. So we can able to know what type of communication that is happening between the both parties, and using the same kind of flags, we also use some scanning mechanisms to understand the behavior of the system. Okay. And there is again the window size to understand the kind of flow control. We have a TCP checksum, and the other thing is we have urgent pointer. This urgent pointer is associated with urgent flag. If there is a priority in communication, then when this urgent flag is set, then this pointer will be used.